Today's discussion revolves around the skies and the snow, albeit the digital realm, as we keep a close eye on these screens that may overlook a UFO. The 1970 British sci-fi series UFO was conceived by Jerry Anderson and Sylvia Anderson, the talented couple responsible for the popular mid-60s show Thunderbirds. Conversely, in 1969, the Andersons penned the underrated sci-fi film Voyage to the Distant Side of the Sun, featuring Ed Bishop in the cast. Thus, when the Andersons were assembling the elements for UFO, Bishop was poised to take the lead. UFO was incredibly ambitious, darker than the prevailing Star Trek series in the United States, and utilized all the techniques, models, equipment, and visual effects to bring forth an extraordinary series. And just like the show itself, it's time to embark on a journey and reconnect with the cast of this futuristic program. George Sewell as Cole Freeman. Colonel Alec Freeman, a former pilot and intelligence officer, served as Straker's closest confidant and chief assistant. He was relaxed and effective in his leadership role until the arrival of the more visually appealing Cole Lake, a transition made without any rationale. George Sewell's journey into acting didn't commence until he reached the age of 35, when a chance encounter with actor Dudley Sutton in a pub changed his life. Sutton encouraged Sewell to audition for a production at Joan Littlewood's Theater Workshop, where he landed a role as a policeman in both the Theatre Royal, Stratford East, and the subsequent West End production. His theatrical experience eventually paved the way for opportunities in television and film. Some noteworthy projects include multiple episodes of The Power Game in 1965 and appearances in the enduringly gritty drama Z-Cars in 1967. After his stint on UFO, he transitioned to the role of Detective Chief Craven in the detective series Special Branch. He continued his detective endeavors in the 1990s series The Detectives. Is there a pattern emerging? Sewell delivered a significant performance in the critically acclaimed 1979 miniseries Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and made his final appearance in 2006 in an episode of the series Casualty. Sadly, George passed away the following year at the age of 82 after battling cancer. Ashia Bro as Shadow Operative. Lieutenant Ashia Johnson serves as an officer at Shadow headquarters, often seen carrying a clipboard while exuding beauty. Ashia embarked on her acting career in 1958. While her most prominent role was undoubtedly in UFO, she made numerous appearances as herself, including hosting her own pop show, Soar Off with Ashia, which aired from 1969 to 1975. Despite her acting endeavors, Ashia was primarily known as a pop singer, consistently releasing singles throughout the 1960s and 1970s. She also frequently appeared on game shows such as The Golden Shot and Celebrity Squares. Ashia garnered a sizable following for her live cabaret performances and represented Great Britain at the World Popular Song Festival in Tokyo with a song penned for her by Elton John, titled The Flowers Will Never Die. Later, she relocated to Los Angeles and ventured into acting in films like Gotcha in 1985. Additionally, she tied the knot with Mike Levy, the founder of CBS Sportsline. For many years, Beverly Hills served as her residence, where she also established herself as a prominent socialite and ran a business in property development and interior design. However, in 2000, Ashia returned to the UK to be closer to her mother, Rose. At the age of 74, she now enjoys a quieter life, a well-deserved respite from her bustling past. Michael Billington as Cole Paul Foster. Colonel Paul Foster, a former test pilot, found himself in a precarious situation when his aircraft sustained severe damage during Shadow's interception and destruction of a UFO. His persistent probing into the incident posed a threat to Shadow's secrecy, prompting Straker to extend him an invitation to join the organization. While Anderson may have envisioned Bishop as a potential James Bond, It was actually Billington who underwent testing for the iconic 007 role and was seriously considered as a replacement for Sean Connery. Michael entered the acting scene in 1964, quickly gaining momentum. By 1966, he secured a significant role with a 23-episode stint on the series United. In 1986, he took the lead in the BBC drama The Collectors, marking his final major acting endeavor before retiring. He transitioned into teaching at Lee Strasberg's acting school in London during the 1990s. Unfortunately, as mentioned earlier, Billington succumbed to cancer at the age of 63 in 2005, shortly before Ed Bishop's passing. Ed Bishop as CMDR Ed Straker. Commander Ed Straker, a former colonel in the American Air Force and astronaut, established Shado following a series of UFO attacks in 1970. Initially, Bishop opted for blonde hair dye, but eventually switched to wearing a wig to protect his natural hair. Bishop personally owned and often carried this wig to science fiction conventions. Interestingly, space seemed to have quite a collection of wigs. He portrayed Straker as the epitome of suave, and Anderson had high hopes for this role, propelling him to greater heights in his career, although this didn't quite materialize. Ed's acting journey commenced with a role as an ambulance driver in Stanley Kubrick's 1962 film Lolita. Subsequently, he remained active in the industry, landing a notable part in Jerry and Sylvia Anderson's Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons during the late 60s, a series reminiscent of classic G.I. Joe action figures coming to life. In this project, he voiced the character Captain Blue and provided narration for the show. His involvement in UFO in 1970 marked another milestone. Throughout the 80s, he made numerous television appearances on programs such as The Kenny Everett television show and Whoops Apocalypse. In 1980, he lent his voice to the sci-fi film Saturn III, starring alongside Kirk Douglas and Farrah Fawcett. He continued acting into the early 2000s. Unfortunately, in 2005, at the age of 72, just 3 days shy of his 73rd birthday, Ed Bishop succumbed to a chest infection contracted while undergoing leukemia treatment. His passing occurred 5 days following the death of his UFO co-star Mikhail Billington. Gary Myers as Capt. Waterman. Captain Lou Waterman starts off as an interceptor pilot stationed on the moon, eventually earning a promotion to captain. He takes over from Peter Carlin as the leader of Skydiver and the pilot of Sky One. Gary Myers, recognized as the original Milk Tray Man, gained fame as a model and actor through the enduring television ad series promoting Cadbury chocolates from 1968 to 1984. Gabriel Drake as Lieutenant Ellis. Lieutenant Ellis is portrayed as sometimes lacking self-assurance, while at other times displaying a confident and authoritative demeanor. She is temporarily relocated to Shado HQ amid suspicions of a romantic involvement with interceptor pilot Mark Bradley. However, her departure from the cast of UFO marked the beginning of her own ventures, which is regrettable because she looked remarkably stunning in that silver jumpsuit. Gabrielle Drake began her ascent in the entertainment industry in 1963 and took on numerous minor roles before landing her breakthrough role in UFO in 1970. She also made her debut in feature films by co-starring in Crossplot in 1969, followed by an appearance in Connecting Rooms the next year. Drake fulfilled the fantasies of many male UFO enthusiasts by starring in a series of British erotic films that gained significant popularity at the time. She appeared either fully nude or partially clothed in several scenes, notably in Au Pair Girls in 1972. In the same year, she played a prominent role in the television series The Brothers during its first 4 seasons. This became Drake's most notable role, as the show garnered considerable acclaim. Interestingly, Drake had appeared on Coronation Street in 1967 and returned to the show 40 years later in 2009. She also had a significant presence in stage productions, performing in her own solo shows throughout the 2000s. Additionally, her brother, the musician Nick Drake, was renowned in the music industry, and Gabrielle has been instrumental in promoting his work following his death in 1974. She can be heard accompanying her brother in numerous privately recorded songs, which have been released on the album Family Tree. Presently, at the age of 79, Drake resides in Wenlock Abbey, a medieval castle that she and her husband purchased in 1983 and subsequently renovated. What's next for the talented Gabrielle Drake? Wanda Ventham as Cole Virginia Lake. Colonel Virginia Lake makes her debut in the premiere episode, Identified, as the lead engineer for Westbrook Electronics, the subcontractor responsible for Shadow's Utronics' faster-than-light tracking system. In the final 8 installments, Lake returns to assume the role of Shadow's second-in-command, succeeding Alec Freeman. Ventham's first cinematic appearance occurred in My Teenage Daughter, 1956, alongside Dame Anna Neagle and Sylvia Sims. Additionally, she portrayed a debutante in 1962 with a brief speaking part in the Norman Wisdom film On the Beat, and in 1963 she appeared as a nurse in A Stitch in Time, both without credit. She has made 3 guest appearances on Doctor Who spanning 3 decades, as Jane Rock in The Faceless Ones, 1967, as Thea Ransom in Image of the Fendal, 1977, and as Faroon in Time and the Rani, 1987. Notably, her role in Image of the Fendal was opposite Dennis Lill, with whom she later co-starred as Pamela and Alan Perry in the sitcom Only Fools and Horses, 1989-1992. In 2014, she and her spouse, Timothy Carlton, appeared in the BBC adaptation of Sherlock as the parents of Sherlock Holmes, portrayed by their son, Benedict Cumberbatch. Ventham also features in Holby City as Sheila Chiltern, the grandmother of Lofty Chiltern. Ventham wedded her first spouse James Tabernacle in 1957, and they had a daughter named Tracy. They legally separated on November 12, 1974. Ventham encountered actor Timothy Carlton in 1970 while filming sequences for the drama series A Family at War, and they have been united in marriage since April 1976. The duo appeared together in the second series of BBC drama The Lotus Eaters in 1973, and in the third and fourth series of BBC's Sherlock in 2014 and 2017, where they portrayed the parents of the titular character, while their son, actor Benedict Cumberbatch, starred in the lead role of Holmes. Vladek Shaybal as Dr. Doug Jackson. Dr. Douglas Jackson serves as the Shadow psychiatrist and science officer, fulfilling various roles within Shadow, including acting as the prosecuting officer during Paul Foster's court-martial. There's an implication that Douglas Jackson might not be his original name, given his strong Eastern European accent. Shaybal was born in Zgierz, near Łódź, in the Second Polish Republic. The son of a university professor, he felt drawn to acting from a young age. At 16, he found himself imprisoned in a Nazi concentration camp during Poland's occupation, enduring 2 escape attempts before facing torture upon recapture. Post-World War II, he embarked on a career in Polish theaters and cinemas, establishing himself as a talented actor. In 1977, he earned the esteemed Hamilton Dean Award from the Dracula Society for his role in the BBC production Night of the Marionettes, part of the Supernatural series. He portrayed a menacing Austrian innkeeper whose life-sized puppets allegedly inspired Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Shaybal's final stage performance was as Friedrich Nietzsche in Pierre Bourdieu's play The Eagle and the Serpent at London's Offstage Downstairs Theatre in 1988. He passed away in London in 1992 at the age of 69, succumbing to a ruptured aortic aneurysm, and was laid to rest in Putney Vale Cemetery. From 1950 to 1957, he was romantically involved with actress Irena Eichlerovna. While in England, Shaybal had relationships with both men and women, but never entered into a long-term partnership. Peter Gordano as Captain Carlin. During the initial portion of the series, Carlin held the position of skydiver submarine commander and piloted the interceptor craft Sky 1. In 1970, Carlin encountered a UFO alongside his sister, leading to an attack where he sustained injuries from gunfire and his sister vanished mysteriously. He participated in the 1968 London stage rendition of Man of La Mancha, portraying Anselmo, a muleteer character. On the show, he showcased his vocal talents as the lead singer in the song Little Bird, Little Bird. Additionally, Gordeno made appearances in films such as Secrets of a Windmill Girl, 1966, The Touchables, 1968, The Urge to Kill, 1989, and briefly in the final installment of the Carry On film series, Carry On Columbus, in 1992, all while contributing to the choreography for the latter. Gordeno also served as the host for various television broadcasts of the EMI UK and World Disco Dancing and Freestyle Championships from 1979 to 1981, delivering personal performances during the introduction segments. He passed away on October 18, 2008, at the age of 69 in London, following a battle with cancer that spanned several years. His son, also named Peter Gordeno, is a songwriter and producer recognized for his work touring with Depeche Mode since 1998. Norma Ronald as Miss Eland. Miss Eland serves as a shadow agent undercover as Straker's secretary at the movie studio. Positioned at Straker's office elevator, she acts as the initial barrier against unauthorized entry into Shadow HQ. In most episodes following the studio's alteration, the character is absent, with Miss Holland, portrayed by Lois Maxwell, filling in for her in 2 episodes. Norma Ronald gained recognition for her role as Mildred Murfin in the 1960s BBC radio comedy series The Men from the Ministry, embodying the character of Miss Eland. She made an uncredited appearance in the 1969 Jerry Anderson film Doppelganger, also known as Journey to the Far Side of the Sun. Ronald also featured in The Frankie Howard Show on November 2, 1975, and later in Tony's, a BBC radio comedy from 1979 to 1981, with Victor Spinetti, set in an Italian hair salon. In 1966, she tied the knot with fellow actor Edward Judd, and together they welcomed 2 daughters. Grant Taylor as General James Henderson. General James Henderson, the head of IAC and Straker's superior, assumes the role of the President of the International Astrophysical Commission, IAC, acting as a facade for Shadow and overseeing the acquisition of funds and resources from various governments to sustain Shadow's operations. Straker and Henderson frequently clash over the requirements of Shadow and financial constraints. Upon his return to the United Kingdom in early 1963, Taylor began working on the enduring medical series Emergency Ward 10. This paved the way for numerous opportunities in character roles spanning from Anglia TV's soap opera Weaver's Green, where Taylor held a recurring role, to appearances in The Avengers, The Troubleshooters, and various projects backed by Lou Grade, including The Champions. Additionally, he featured in a British television adaptation of Summer of the 17th Doll, 1964. In June 1941, Taylor tied the knot with Margaret Josephine Hazlitt at St. Joseph's Church, Malvern. Shortly thereafter, his mother-in-law moved in with them. They welcomed a son, Christopher John, later known as Kit, in April 1942. Taylor traveled to Sydney in early 1942 to produce a recruitment film, and upon his return, he discovered that his wife had left. Taylor passed away from cancer in 1971 at the age of 54. Harry Baird as Mark Bradley. Lieutenant Mark Bradley, a moon-based interceptor pilot hailing from the Caribbean, engages in a romantic relationship with Lieutenant Ellis, resulting in a temporary reassignment to Shadow HQ on Earth. Later, he briefly assumes command of Moonbase. Baird departed from the series after filming 4 episodes, but made appearances using stock footage in 2 subsequent episodes. Baird's primary lead role in film was in the 1968 Melvin Van Peebles drama, The Story of a Three-Day Pass, portraying an American soldier who falls in love with a white Parisian woman. His other notable roles include appearances in The Whisperers, 1967, The Touchables, 1968, portraying a gay wrestler named Lily White, the horror film The Oblong Box, 1969, and The Italian Job, 1969, alongside his close friend Michael Caine. Notably, Baird had previously appeared alongside Caine's wife, fellow Guyanese actor Shakira Baksh, in UFO. His final on-screen appearance was in Four of the Apocalypse, I Quattro dell'Apocalypse, in 1975. In the 1970s, Baird was diagnosed with glaucoma, resulting in eventual blindness. He passed away in London in 2005 after battling cancer. Dolores Mantes as Nina Bari. Nina Bari joins Shadow as one of Straker's initial recruits, initially serving as a space tracker at Moonbase. Eventually, she assumes command of Moonbase after replacing Lieutenant Ellis. Dolores absolutely slayed in that violet wig, flawlessly rocking its distinctive hue. Dolores Mantes kicked off her career with singing and landed her first acting gig with a minor role in the 1959 film Sapphire. She then scored appearances in renowned series like The Avengers, which famously starred Diana Rigg, and even showcased her talent on Secret Agent. However, she is most fondly remembered for her portrayal of Lit Barry. Shortly after, she met Robert Harding, a businessman in a pub, and they tied the knot soon after. Dolores bid farewell to the entertainment industry after welcoming their son. She maintained a relatively low profile until her unfortunate passing in 2012 at the age of 76. The ensemble of UFO contributed to crafting a distinctly intricate approach to science fiction entertainment. The visual and auditory elements of the series remain its most compelling aspects, flawlessly capturing the essence of the 1970s era. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Which character from the UFO ensemble resonated with you the most? Have you indulged in any of the spin-off films from that era? Goodbye and thanks for watching.